we're gonna get started. Um, what is love? Number one, which I'm asking these guys. This is our panel. That's kind of cool, huh? I like this. I'm enjoying this. I should stop talking because I'm talking a lot. But number one, what do you believe the world defines love as? Yes. Yes. If I wasn't clear, what do you believe the world defines love as? Hey, you have it on the board. Good job.
Wow. A lot of things come to mind.
Cool.
Is that for the panel?
Yeah, that's for the back.
No, but they can think about it too.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we get our.
Love is God.
Yeah, go for it, guys.
Um, when you asked that question, I thought like the world today, the English language of today doesn't really have the definition of love that the Hebrew that the Bible was originally written, or later the Greek had. They had like four or five words to describe love. And that was different kinds of love. And now we have just one word. So if I say something in like there's a lot of English words that don't translate to Spanish. So when you speak like Spanish and you want to say that English word, you just say that English word. That's not what we do today. Instead of saying like, oh dude, man, I had some agape love the other day. It was amazing. Like that sounds weird, like agape, like, and that's so the four kinds of love that the Bible has. There's one to describe like regular friendships, family friendships. Like you can love your mom and pizza, which will make your mom feel really bad. No, but the Bible had like words for that. They had words for how you love your mom, and how you love your best friend, and how you love your future husband or wife. And so when we say that today, like it just totally loses its meaning. Like the meaning of awesome has lost its meaning as well. Like,
That's true.
to be awe-inspired is to be almost speechless.
Yeah.
And like you can be like, oh my gosh, this thing was so awesome! Like we did this and this and this. Like if it was that awesome, you wouldn't be able to say anything about it. If it was that awesome. So the way the world defines love, and like this isn't like judgmental for anybody. Like I was in way too many relationships in high school, but you can fall like head over heels for somebody, and then be caught up in like what you think, or what I'll say me because I've done it too. What we think to be love. The chemical that the brain releases when you quote unquote fall in love with somebody is the same chemical that somebody that has OCD has. That is over compulsive or is obsessed with something. It's the same exact chemical. That will explain why when you jump into a relationship and you come out of the shower, you have 20 texts. And so, yeah, exactly. Why haven't you replied? Showers don't take that long. And so, like that amazing feeling that we can become, that will trigger, and that will trigger that. Like we don't have any words to describe that. Like you're not going to say like, oh, I am so dopamine for you. It's like it doesn't work like that. So we have to use whatever word we can think of, which is love. And love is not 20 texts while you're in the shower. Love is a daily commitment. And so you can't. And so we use the word love, I think, too quickly. I mean, I'm guilty of it. I've done at least a dozen times. Because love comes with commitment, and commitment has to come with time. So therefore, to come to the logical conclusion that I'm in love, it has to take time. And that's where I think that's where the world of today has lost its meaning in love. And they've mistaken it for kind of like a quick fix. Makes sense?
Wow. So Joaquin broke out the Greek and talked about brain chemistry in the first share. I don't know if I can relate. But you set the bar high. Good job, brother. My answer, real quick, is there was a song. No, you think you're old? I'm old. Because there's a Michael Jackson has a sister, and her name is Janet. Yeah, Janet. She had a song called "What Have You Done for Me Lately."
Oh,
okay?
I like that song.
But that's my definition of the world. that's what I think the world, I mean, when I think of the world definition of love, that's what I think of. It's all about it's really in a nutshell, it's a selfish love because it's I love you if you do this for me, if you make me feel good by the way you, what dress or what you say to me. I mean, fill in the blank, really. So, yeah, I don't have as many stats as you, but no, I'm just kidding. That's my answer.
Especially nowadays, it's definitely tolerant and accepting. And it's okay to be accepting. I'm not saying because you want to be accepting, but to the point where you overlook, I guess, the truth. You don't point out the truth. People don't want to hear the truth. And well, our truth, the word of God, offends people, and they don't want to hear that. So when I thought of the world's love, I thought of tolerant. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. And I want to go off of her point too, because she hit a really good one, is that people will think that if you don't agree with them, that you don't love them. Yeah. And that's not true. That's why a lot of people think that Christians hate the LGBTQ community. Yeah. No, I love the LGBT community. Let's get that straight right now. I love them. Just because I love them does not mean I have to agree with their lifestyle. If I had a kid and they were on drugs, I would love them all day long, but I do not support them abusing what God has given them and hurting themselves. So I just want to say right now, if you have friends and they're like, oh, you're Christian, well, doesn't mean you hate gay people. No, we love gay people. We love them with all of our heart, and Jesus died for them. But just like God does not want me to continue living in sexual sin, He doesn't want them living in sexual sin either. So that's an awesome point that she made, and I think that everyone has hit a good one. If I could say the world's definition of love that has been twisted is the world's definition of love has really been over-sexualized. Wow. And I think that's true because a lot of guys and girls like to get into relationships and they're saying, I love you, and a lot of times these guys will say, I love you to try to get the girl to give up her body. Wow. So, girls will want that love and affection, and guys will want that physical attention, and then they will throw out the word love, and a lot of times they'll get it a lot faster because it's appealing to the female wanting to feel loved, and the men wanting to feel that physical touch right off the bat. So I would say the world's definition of love, along with everything that everyone has said here, is over-sexualized.
Yeah, we'll definitely hit that point again when we get to the second point. Lorenzo back there, who's keeping watch over all of us, he's the hero we need and the one we deserve. Yeah. He said world love is a Netflix and chill mentality.
Whoa! Shoot! That's true.
World love is a Netflix and chill mentality.
Wow.
So, which for those of you who don't know what that means, it pretty much means it's a hookup. Yeah, it's a hookup. It's like you're hanging out to, to do things you shouldn't be doing with the opposite sex.
I also feel like the world's love is pretty much and mostly based on an emotion or feelings.
Yeah.
You can be in love one day and then be out of love the next day and then be in love with someone else. Yeah. I've heard many times of real life people where they were in love and they were married and then they divorced, but then they found their true love after that.
They fell out of love.
Right. They just didn't, no, exactly. And then they found their true love. So there was but no. You don't fall out of love. You commit to love each other.
Yeah.
It's a choice. It's a choice. So I think a lot of times the world is just based on feelings.
Yeah, but what happens, I think, and to wrap up this point, we'll move on to the second point, is the world really easily confuses love with lust.
Ooh.
The feeling of lust is not the feeling of love.
Yeah.
Which brings us to a second point. Let's talk about the biblical meaning of love. Let's start with Shayla on the biblical
to lay your life down for someone. The Bible says that there is no greater love than this, that one laid down his life for a friend. And so I think that the disciples felt so much love from Jesus because they saw him constantly laying himself down to feed 5,000 people when he was tired, to go and pray when he felt really tired and he didn't want to continuously serve the disciples. Jesus was showing love to them constantly, which is why I think we see so much dedication from the disciples, because they were seeing love portrayed right in front of them through the Son of God. And then it even says, the most popular verse in the Bible, John 3:16, that God did not come to condemn the world, but that God so loved the world that he sent his one and only Son. So even God he doesn't want to give his Son, he loves his Son, but he's saying, you know what, I care more about my people, that I'm going to sacrifice my Son, and I'm laying down what I want for them. So love is laying down your will for somebody else, which is why, with what Chanel said earlier, you think that you can fall out of love with someone. Well, if you are constantly dying to your own will and putting that other person before you, and you're just acting selfless towards them, falling out of love is not a real concept. Yeah. No, that's my answer.
Well, no, that's good because I have Romans 5:8 down here. It says, "But God demonstrates His own love towards us, and that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us." You guys could probably think of someone right now that has done you wrong that you're like, I don't really love them, you know what I mean? Because they've hurt me. We were sinning and God loved us. We totally rejected Him, and He still sent His Son to die for us because He loved us.
Which is the opposite of what Paul's definition of the world was, which is, what can you do for me in order to get me to love you? God says, you don't got to do nothing for me, boo-boo. And I love you, I'm going to send you my Son, and I'm going to give you all the blessings, I'm going to let you know about them.